And that was the part of life that I described for me the hardest one. From 10 to 14, these 4 years. So at 10 you start, and at the same time there is not a big expectation from the family that you have to be something, but from a family background I know a certain thing you have to achieve.
Yeah. Hi everyone, so welcome to this next video. In this video I'm interviewing Mahmud. He's a Austrian-Bangladeshi, and I thought he has a very interesting background and interesting profile for an interview. He's lived in Bangladesh for over 10 years. He's lived in Austria for many, many years, most of his life in fact, and he's lived in the UK. He also studied in the UK. He's faced many challenges in life, moving back to Austria, having to learn German, then going into IT, studying IT, getting his first job offers, studying in the UK. Then he decided to go into management consulting for many years, IT management consulting and strategy management consulting. And as a manager, he thought, hey, my life is, everything is going well. I want to start a new challenge. So he just went out and quit management consulting, quit his well-paying job to found his own company called Streamline Technologies, an IT company based here in Vienna. And that wasn't enough for him. Together with his family, he also founded Muncho's Peri Chicken, the first Peri Chicken restaurant in Vienna. So if you like Peri Chicken, go check out that restaurant. I'm going to link both companies in the description. I found this very interesting because Bangladesh is not a country we hear a lot about, especially also interesting his perspective on both countries and also the UK, of course, but mostly the comparison Vienna and Bangladesh, Austrian-Bangladesh. And if you want to support this channel, like, comment and subscribe, ask any questions you have in the comment section down below. If you want to support this channel even more, I've also published some books. This is one book, a World War II historical fiction book that you can buy on Amazon, 3 Lives. And if you prefer sci-fi, I wrote a trilogy of short books. The first one is called Helen Cartel War, also available on Amazon. So go out ahead and enjoy this video.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So as we are sitting in the office, it's great to have you there. Yeah, I mean, a crazy story, personal story, because I was born in Vienna in '95, and then my parents are originally from Bangladesh, obviously. So they came to Europe, or my dad came first to Vienna, because my uncle was professor at this time, and he was like, I think doing another PhD in Vienna.
Okay.
And he was telling to my dad, hey, you should come to Vienna and have a look. So my dad was okay, yeah, we can have a look. So that was pretty easy at this point to come to Europe from Bangladesh.
What years was this?
That was around, I think, 80s.
80s.
Yeah,
okay.
So 80s, beginning of 80s, he was there. So, but he always said, it's just a short journey for him. So, coming there, having a look, and then bringing the family.
Your dad said that?
Yeah. Okay. And he just wanted to kind of travel around, work a bit, having the feeling of Europe, and then going back home. Okay. So home was always for him Bangladesh, not Vienna, not Austria, or not Europe. Yeah. So that's why I have 3 elder sisters. So 2 of them, they were born in Bangladesh. Okay. They came to Vienna. And then my 3rd eldest sister was born in Vienna, and myself. And then my dad was like, okay, that's the time to go back. We have seen a lot in Europe, so let's go back. Yeah, so he decided.
And because he wanted you guys to have like a Bangladeshi education, or because he missed it so much, or family reasons? Or?
I would say not necessarily the fact of education. I think it was more about the cultural stuff, and also growing up in an environment where you have this as I say, my dad's home. Yeah, he was like more attached to Bangladesh than somewhere else. So he thought, okay, it would even make more sense to bring the kids in the same environment to grow up there. So we never thought that we would come back then at some point in Europe again. So we went back 1996. So from 95 and 96, my dad was building the house on an island in Bangladesh where he's coming from. So then 96, we finally moved in, or moved out actually from Vienna, and then moved in Bangladesh. And then we stayed. Obviously, I grew up there. I went to the primary school, kindergarten, primary school there. And then my dad was doing business, and at the same time also very actively in politics as well. So if that was a good decision or not is another question.
It's dangerous to do politics in Bangladesh, I heard.
It is dangerous. I think it is dangerous as long as you are in the opposition. I think it is not dangerous as long as you are supporting the political party that they are in the power. So this depends, right? So in the beginning, it was fine of this 10 years of journey that we have had in Bangladesh. So it was quite going okay, because the political party in power was also supported by my dad. My uncle got parliament member, and he was minister as well. So all in a good shape from a political perspective. But obviously there's always a political shift as well, right, over the time. So the shift came, and I think that was a good decision by my dad as well, that he at some point, or at a very good point, he understood that before it gets late, let's go back to Vienna. So that's why he came first. My sister was also married at this time, so we said, okay, slowly we should also go. And then we came back to Vienna in 2005 again. So exactly after 10 years, we came back to Vienna.
That must have been a really hard move. I've moved a couple of times myself. I think when you start hitting the teenage years, it starts getting a lot harder to make those moves and to learn. I mean, it's still easier than now to learn a language, but it's not as easy as when you're like 5 or...
Exactly. So for me, the biggest struggle was, but I think at the same time, the same struggle shaped me to the man that I am today. I always say that. Because let's say I grew up in Bangladesh. All the friends, families, everyone is in Bangladesh. You grow up in completely different environment, be that from a weather, from a perspective, from an educational and cultural. And then suddenly, by a week, you decide and you go back, almost for me, to the roots, because I was born there. But I've never ever seen Austria and Vienna. So I come for the first time when I'm 10, and the fact is, you come, it's winter, it's cold, and the second thing is, you do not understand anything. So obviously at first, my dad was registering me for the school, so I went to the school, and I was sitting there, and for me it was like, everyone is chatting Chinese, and I'm just sitting and I have no clue what is going on. So the good part was I was quite okay in English and in maths. I was actually very good in maths. So those two subjects was like, for me, the favorite one if they come to the day. Otherwise, you're just sitting and you have no clue what is going on. So you have to think about you are separated from all of your friends, everything that you had, and you are beginning actually from the green field again, and you're sitting in a class every day for 6 to 8 hours, and you have no idea what's going on.
And you can't even make new friends because you can't even talk to them.
because you cannot talk. You have no idea what to say. And I was very bad in drawing, and I'm still very bad in drawing. So you cannot draw and show something what you're meaning. And I think the very big difference between both the countries is also when it comes to expressing something using your hands and your face. That's completely different.
No, it's very
exactly. So in the Asian culture, you don't use your hand that much. So you keep quiet and you say what you think. But in European style, at least with your hand, you can say something. So in this case, I think that was also a part.
So in Bangladesh, sorry, that surprises me. So in Bangladesh, you wouldn't use your hands so much to talk?
Exactly.
Because you would not?
No, would not.
Okay.
And for most, not for in front of elder people, due to the respect. Okay. So if you bring out your hand and do something, it's like, okay, this guy is first of all talking too much, and second of all having less respect. Yeah?
Okay, wow. So no, I would have thought the opposite, actually.
No, the opposite is rather between friends, which is not in Europe. Like, you are not hugging all the time your friends, or you don't go on the street and say, hey, mate, let's go. So those kind of things are very different.
Yeah.
So within friend circle, it's different. And then there's also difference between the elderly and the young people.
Okay.
So the respect level is definitely completely different. When you also discuss at some point. So I exactly know what I still follow is, when I see my teachers from the primary schools, I still know that even right now, if I'm in Bangladesh, if the teacher says something, I just say yes, or I just keep quiet. I don't start discussing, no, it's not like that. It should be way around. So you show that you respect, but obviously if it's completely wrong, then you can at least say, I do not agree on the same time, but very politely. So it's not like a conversation that we see here, where you openly discuss a lot of things.
Yeah. So that was a difficult period, but then you managed to learn the language, obviously, since you speak fluent German.
Yeah. And that was the part of life that I described for me the hardest one. From 10 to 14, these 4 years. So at 10 you start, and at the same time there is not a big expectation from the family that you have to be something, but from a family background, I know a certain thing you have to achieve.
Yeah, like your father and your uncle were all like in.
Yeah. So in this case, the minimum expectation that everyone would have is, okay, you know what? You just go to the uni and educate yourself in any subject. So I know there's a misconception in the Bengali community, or in the South Asian community anyway, that parents tell their childs what they have to do or what they have to be. So a lot of parents say, hey, my son will be the doctor, or my girl will be the next engineer. So those kind of typical professional, it happens. Okay. It happens. It is still there.
Okay.
But it's getting better, but it's still there. So that the parents say, hey, he will be. Mostly there are three things that really parents would like to have: doctor, engineers, and the third one is somewhere in the research academia.
Okay.
So these are the ones, like professor.
Like they like the scientific stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are the most prestigious, but at the same time also the expectation from the parents. This expectation, in sense of professional side, that was not there from my family. So the expectation was, you go study, you done your uni, but we don't care which subject. So it's not about you have to be doctor, you have to be engineer, or you have to be this or that. So from 10 to 14, these 4 years, that was like, first of all, you start from the beginning, you learn a new language, and with 10, it's not that easy as you said with 5. But it's also not that hard when you learn with 18, 19, or 20, right? But on the other hand side, I mean, the German language is completely different, obviously, from Bengali, and also quite far away from English as well. Because it's not only, that there is only one article. No, there are 3, and you can use them in 4 different ways. So that makes everything much harder than that you have expected. Yeah. First, I thought it will be okay. Yeah. Due to the fact you can English, you can Bengali, and if you can Bengali, you can. Bengali is also a language that automatically you understand Hindi and Urdu. So from India and Pakistan, not way around. So I thought, okay, very quickly, it should be manageable. but it is not. We all know that German is not that easy to understand, and it's also not easy to explain why something is like that.
Because
right?
there's no real reason to a lot of
because the table has an article, and I don't know. Let's say the mobile phone has another article,
yeah,
but you don't know why. This
Yeah.
is a thing. The mobile phone is also a thing.
yeah.
Why do they have different
Yeah.
articles?
Why is a table female? Why is a mobile phone male? Or
Yeah.
I don't know if that's correct.
No,
but
the table will be the male, right?
Okay.
The Tish, and the thing will be das Handy. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you never know why. The explanation behind why something is going to be that is very hard to understand.
At least in Latin languages, you have like at the end of the word an indicator if it's male or female. Like in Spanish, you would rather have an A or for female and an
Yeah.
O for male, and in French you would have an E at the end for female,
Yeah.
and nothing if it's a male, right?
Yeah.
So it's a bit with the word itself, you can sort of see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in German, it's pretty hard. So the first thing was learn German. The second thing was to figure out for myself what I would like to study later, right?
Yeah.
So which kind of perspective do I have in Austria? So I figured out at this point, I mean, that's quite a long time ago, right? What not I'm good into, what I'm interested into. So I saw, okay, the technological side, everything around computer at this point of time, I was interested. So I was like, okay, let's maybe focus on this one. But a clear statement from the school was that might be too hard for me to to go into higher technical college or school, do this 5 years of education, and then going through this journey. Everyone said that would not happen, and that was kind of motivation for me to prove that they are wrong. So that's why I was like very much focusing on German at the same time. When you can't speak German or speak and write German, you are in a not a normal student. You go in another group, so you even don't get grades for your subjects. So when you don't get grades, I think there is a rule that you can do it for 2 years and then keep continuing. But if the grades are not coming anymore, then you have to stay back.
Okay.
And then you can just do the general school, and with no grades on your certificate, you cannot go for further education. You have to go for any kind of jobs with the education included
after high school.
Yeah, exactly, after high school. So that's why I was like trying. Okay, first year I didn't get the grades in other subjects besides English and maths.
Yeah.
And then I tried to get the German in a shape to get the grades first in. So grades were coming in. That was good. And then I was like, okay, I have to do the IT one. So I researched. I found out that the higher technical Spengergasse in 5th district in Vienna is the best one in Austria for the IT education. So I was like, okay, I would like to go there. I had an open day visit, and I saw everything.
Yeah.
And it was like great. It was
How old were you then? You were
14. So you start with 14, the higher technical one, right? So I was like, okay, I would like to go there. I applied. There are, I mean, it's very, very hard to get in Spengergasse, because I think over 700-800 guys they apply, and they take only 200. And the most funniest part is it's like a pyramid system. So you start with the 200. If you take the class year, the same year they are moving for 5 years, right? So we started with 200, and end of the day, after 5 years in A levels, we are only 27 left.
That's crazy.
So everyone else, either they go out, or they repeat, or something happened, right? So it's really like you bring, first of all, you bring the good people in, and you bring the best out.
Yeah.
Which is not that bad for the job market, but it's in a, let's say, in an age period from 14 to 19, it's also a psychological big thing that you might fall out at any time. So I registered, I went into this, and I still remember, I was like, okay, I'm in now, everything will be fine. So that was my kind of first day's vision. First day, the department head came, and he was like visiting all the first classes, and he said, okay, please look to right and left to you. So we are like, right, left. Okay, yeah, new guys might be friends, might not be. He said, next year they won't be there anymore. So take it into your mind, they won't be there anymore.
It's like the classic university.
Yeah, so two reasons. Either you failed or they failed. Anything will happen. So either this or that. There's nothing else. There's no options that something like everyone will go. So that we understood on this day. I was like, okay, hey, there is a point. So it looks like it would be hard. On the second week, I had my chemistry test for the first time, the first test ever, and I failed. That was like, okay, warning number one, don't take it easy. And then afterwards, I was like doing very well. First in the first class, I was like the best one in the class. Second class, I was the second best, and also one of our very good mate who is working for Google now. He was the first one. I got second, and then we keep continuing. And what we have learned in these 5 years is you have to be very focused. Although I know that's this teenage time where everyone is getting crazy. You have a lot of other things in mind, and at the same time you have your own brain that you are the best and you know everything of the world, but no one else does. But exactly at the same time, if you can focus and if you're really into this, you will get through. You just have to be very in discipline. You have to skip a lot of things. I skipped for 5 years, and I think not only myself, everyone else who went at this time with me in Spengergasse, they always say the 5 years that was a prison time for us, but after the prison time we are having the best time of our lives, because you are well educated. You are the most searched guys by IT companies. Even before we left the school, the companies came and provided us offers. So offer letter, even I got an offer letter from a company. They said, after the school, even they don't know my grades, what will come up with A level, right? They said, no worries, you come out, here is your job. It's like a junior project manager in IT side, and you will get the salary, which was above the minimum one. And then they said, yeah, you can think of, you can sign, and
here you were like 19 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
very early.
Yeah, that's 19. And at the same time, then I said, you know what? After 5 years of this school, I would like to have at least 2 months off, and then I would like to start. They said, no worries, you can even take 3 months off and then start. So all the perspective that you are actually dreaming of, working for IT company, having a good job, everything that you can think of, you can have after these 5 years. But the 5 years, that's quite hard.
Yeah.
And then I got also a bit involved into educational politics. So I was the speaker of the school for 2 years. I was the speaker of the entire Austrian schools for 1 year. So a lot of things that we wanted to move. And everything behind this one, I would say, first of all, the motivation that you would like to change something. And the second one is willingness of learning, that you also would like to learn. And I think to be able to do this, you have to circle in discipline. And if the discipline is there, everything will work. So obviously that was like then the 5 years of hard work. A lot of, as I said, I mean, the hardest part was the school when I came back, where almost everyone was saying, besides my family, everyone was like,
you're gonna fail.
You're gonna fail.
Exactly.
And then you focus these 5 years where everyone else, like, dropping off, failing, everyone. A lot of friends that I lost within these 5 years. Because in the first year, okay, you come up with them very well, but next year they are not there anymore. And then it's continues all the time. The hard time, that's over. And then, you have for the first time the feeling that, yeah, you did something well. But then the steps going on actually. So you think about the uni. So I was like, okay, Spengergasse had several cooperation with UK universities that you can skip the first years, because we already have all the education in the school. That's why I worked full time. I studied part time, but distance learning from Vienna for 1 year.
So you started studying at a British school from Vienna?
From Vienna.
Distance, okay.
Yeah. So in software engineering. And then after 1 year, they told me, because it was only the last year of bachelor. So I split it up in 2 years for part-time. I worked full-time and part-time study. So in the last year, university said, okay, you can also come to the UK and, having the real feeling of the university, how to do it on site. So I decided to move there.
And how was that? I mean, comparing, so you've lived in Bangladesh for 10 years, then you lived in Austria for
10 years.
10 years.
So then, 10 years Bangladesh, 10 years Vienna. Then I moved to UK.
Yeah, and UK, I guess, is very different from Vienna, because also there's a lot of South Asians, right? So you probably have a huge community, whereas in Vienna there's like zero.
Yeah. I mean, from a community perspective, obviously, UK is huge due to the historical perspective and everything that happened. So that's why South Asian and from Bangladesh, I mean, massively people are there.
Yeah.
I was far in north, so that's the community still bigger than in Austria, but not that big as in London. London is crazy. I mean,
you were in the north of the UK.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I automatically assumed London.
No, so it was northern UK, near Manchester.
Okay.
In Preston. So that was quite different, because you grow up learning Bengali and English in sense of like the South Asian English.
Yeah.
You come to Vienna, you learn German.
And German English,
and then you move to the UK. And I think first 2-3 weeks, it was for us very, very difficult to understand what they say. We're like sitting in the lectures, and we are like, oh hell no! I mean, this English is not understandable as well. But after some time, that gets into, because you then slowly understand the accent. You slowly get into this, so it's very easy. Due to the fact from very beginning of your life you learned English, so you catch up very quickly.
It's like Austrian dialects.
Exactly. So that's why it was easier for us. So I didn't move alone. I also took 2-3 friends from the higher technical as well.
Really?
Yeah. So they were studying with me at the same time, because we said, hey, look, after the school, let's go to the uni. But if we don't go to the Austrian one, let's go to the British one. So we work and then we study. And last year, let us go to UK and do this. And we have done this one. And then afterwards, we also decided to stay for masters. We wanted to move to USA.
All 4 of you stayed.
Yeah. Also the others, they stayed for masters as well. We wanted to move to the US, to the States. But then we calculated. I mean, UK is very expensive when it comes to educational fees. But US is like another level. So you have to invest quite a lot. And the return on investment is not in Europe.
No, it's in the States.
Exactly. So you cannot say, I'll go to the States, I'll get my study, I'm coming back to Europe, and I'll get my returns. Doesn't work.
You get bankrupt.
Exactly. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to the States, doing my master's, but then at least 5 years I have to stay there.
Yeah, definitely.
But I have never been to the States. So I was like, I cannot right now decide something on States where I have never been, and then say, okay, I'll stay 1 year, make my master's, and then I have to stay 5 years to be able to get the returns. So that's why we did not decide for the US.
All 4 of you collectively decided.
Yeah, collectively we stayed, not US. So we stayed in the UK. We did our masters, but something else, because we had by then already, I would say, a bit of work experience. So we said, okay, from 14 until bachelor's degree, we were more or focusedly on software engineering. And we said, okay, in masters, I mean, there from the academia, you'll just dig into details, more details. Is it necessary for us? We thought no. So that's why we did our master's in international business management, just to combine.
I think that's good.
Yes.
Getting the technical side
Exactly.
and the practical, how do we leverage this knowledge into making money?
Yeah. So that's why we went for this one. And then came back to Vienna.
And then you started working in management consulting.
Exactly. And then I started to work for management consulting. That was also not pretty much sure for me, because I never been in consulting.
It's surprising, actually, when you're telling me the story. You got these job offers from, I guess, software development companies.
Yeah.
I guess it might have something to do with your business studies in the UK, that you were exposed suddenly to this management consulting side, and you thought, hey, that might be interesting. It's sort of like an offshoot in what you would imagine your career trajectory would be.
I never thought that I'll go to management consulting or strategy consulting. Because when I was working in those tech companies, I identified that I'm definitely in a long term, I'm definitely not the guy who will sit all the time, develop software according to the requirements.
Yeah.
I'm definitely the guy who is sitting between the business. So business is giving the requirement. On the other side, the developers are developing, because I know both the languages. I know what business is actually saying, what they are writing down, but at least what they are saying, what they are thinking of. On the other side, I also understand how developers work and how they think the solution should look like. So actually bridging both the sides. And bridging both the sides, this is a role to fill up with people that you normally don't find on the market. Rarely. There are
good ones.
Good ones. Good ones. Yeah. It's very, very hard to get those people. So I was like, okay, this is something I would like to do. I would like to learn, and I would like to get into. So then few of my teachers, they said, you have to go to consulting. But I did not understand the landscape of consulting, that there is a strategy consulting, management consulting, technology consulting. I had no clue about consulting at all.
Yeah.
Even after my studies, I had no clue. And then I was like coming back to Vienna, and I was pretty sure, okay, slowly I have to get somewhere in. And then I was like looking into job profiles online. I was like, I'll do it I'll have a look into a lot, but I'll choose 8 to 10. I will apply and see what happens.
Okay.
So I took
consulting, or
not
generally?
Only, in general, whatever is something that I say, okay, from only the job description, this is something that I would like to do.
Okay.
So I was having at last, I think, 11 different companies that I applied for. So from 11, I got 3 rejections because the profile is not matching with mine.
Yeah.
Which is completely fine. I mean, right now, at this point, I was like frustrated. Why these 3 said no? But now, after a long time in the business, we exactly know it's not due to myself. It's due to that their profile is not matching with mine, right? So now I understand why something like this happens. But everyone else invited me for the interview. And then I ended up where we work together. So in this company, and I had no clue about this company at all. And I was actually, I already had some offers from Big Fours, but I did not confirm them. I just wanted to have some other interviews as well.
Yeah.
And in this company, for most, because they were like, calling me, they were having conversation with me, and then asked for my grades. They are kind of, behind me, having a more into the
they wanted you more.
Yeah, they wanted to have more information from my side. So I was like, okay, if they are investing their time, what is wrong if I go for 3 hours interview on their side, right?
Yeah.
So I was there, and I was actually standing in front of the office before I entered. I was like, why I'm doing this? I already have my offers, and I had already one company in my mind where I would like to go.
One of the Big Four, or one of
the Big Fours, right? And then I was like, okay, whatever, just do it. So 3 hours, as you know, HR first, second round is I think with a senior manager, third one is with a partner. So I did, and they convinced within the 3 hours to exactly go to this company. And I came out and I said, okay, that's the company I would like to go. I went, and I was the youngest consultant at this time in the company.
Yeah, I think you were.
Yeah.
You were very young compared to everyone else.
Yeah, so I was the youngest one, and I was also the youngest one who got promoted to senior consultant at this point. And then I left. You also know why, because we had this similar project as well. So I left the company, and I should have joined some other big players, but I did not then. And then I moved on to another management consulting. I was the youngest manager also in this company, and this is much bigger than the other one where we work together. And then I got the call to come to the management board for banking and finance. I was the youngest member in the management board as well. And so in the career from the management consulting until the management board, I think the toughest work for me was that I had to prove all the time that I am in the right place. I deserve this. And I did not come because someone liked me or because some good connection I have to the company. That's why I'm here.
Is that a feeling that you had,
yes,
that you had, or that people gave you?
I would say a combination of both. After the uni that I'm the youngest one, there was a feeling that I have to prove because I'm the youngest one. But I got the feeling for the first time when I was not able to get into some projects that I wanted to. And I exactly knew why. Because, as you know,
were too junior.
Yeah, I'm just too young to go into those kind of projects where you have to, consult, advise the management board, the CEOs. And I was like, why? Why is my age an issue?
Yeah.
If I have the knowledge, if I have the capability, why my age is an issue? So obviously I had to prove, and I proved it over a lot of projects. And then I also had this kind of opportunity to move into a DAX, at this point, DAX 30 company, right?
That was a crazy time.
Yeah. Also B-2.
Yeah.
And also the board member told me, you are too young for B-2. And I said, hey, either you'd like to have me for this position or you don't. But it is how it is. So I moved along, and with another management consulting, and that was also from the colleague side. They never gave me proactively the feeling that I'm on the wrong place. But I saw, because I came from outside and I was on the manager position, and a lot of others, they were like, for the same position as well. Yeah. And they did not come through, but I'm coming through. So I had to prove myself again.
Yeah.
So I had a quite good career start, and I also worked quite a lot to be able to come to this position quickly, faster. And I mean, at the age of 25, 26, everything that you can think of, or at least what I dreamed of, I had. So I had a good job.
Yeah, could save a lot of money.
I saved a lot of money. I was like doing a lot of projects with all the big players. I had a good team, and
got offers from really big clients.
Exactly. So everything set, right? And then I had also my company car. I had my own office, everything that you can dream of.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you decide to quit everything, and again from greenfield that you do your own business. So that's why we started 2 years ago our tech company, combined in technology, let's say software development.
Which is called the company?
Streamline Technologies.
Streamline Technologies.
Yeah, Streamline Technologies in Vienna.
So you have a link or something that I can
Sure. I can give you the website link. So we started this business and with the family quite recently. So it's not even a year. We started a restaurant in Vienna. For the very first time, we brought the Peri chicken to Vienna,
which we will go to later. So
yeah, exactly.
I will also film that.
Yeah. I think we will continue the second part of the interview in the restaurant. Exactly. So we started the business there, and now, as I said in the beginning of the career, until, let's say, leaving the company, I had the feeling, and also maybe also I have been given the feeling that I have to prove myself that I'm there. But right now, I think I got the maturity that I'm even not thinking of this aspect anymore, because I know who am I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can. I know why clients should hire me or us as a company. So I do not see the point of proving someone something. Obviously, when we started the IT company, the tech company, Streamline Technologies, there was a big motivation that I said, okay, I did everything in the consulting side, and I achieved everything that you can achieve. But startup life is a bit different, right? So also you have to prove yourself. It's not only in established company that you progress in this one, but you have to establish a company and then go to the progress. So obviously that was a motivation to bring this little baby to a shape.
What are the big challenges involved, right? So first of all, what does the company do? What does the technology do? What are you selling? And what are the biggest challenges with setting up a tech company in Austria,
So we have three main pillars. Pillar number one is we have our own product in process optimization and centralization side. So where we help our client to get the back office processes optimized. So, employees, they do not have to open 6, 7, 8 applications to do their business work. So it's centralized in one platform. They just go into this, they can do their work, and everything is moving with this platform in the processing of different departments. So you can also ensure that your processes are really going, first of all, smoothly. On the other side, you can also identify the pain points that you have to solve. So that's the one of the side that we actually started with this. And as you know, in startup, you have to be very flexible. You have to change your strategy almost every month, every year. So we also changed our strategy. We said, okay, this is something in Middle Europe, I would say. It's very hard because we were very much focusing on the big players. So big banks, insurance companies, big industries. So we have seen that those companies, they are not that much willing to work with small startups.
Right, because you don't have the credentials and the referrals.
Although we have presented our solution to a lot of companies, and they said, hey, that's a very nice tool that we would like to use. But what about how long are you in the market? What is your revenue? How many people do you have? Etc., etc. And then they all said, further develop, get some clients, and when you're in a mid-sized shape, come again. And that's crazy in business mindset, because if everyone is telling you the same story, how do you grow?
It's a bit like applying to jobs at university where they say, oh, okay, this is an entry-level position, but please have some work experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So those kind of things is happening with this system. So that's why we decided, okay, guys, before we invest quite a lot on this side, let's develop this aside, so with less focus, and then let's try over projects to get those tools maybe into, if it's possible. So the second pillar is the classical IT management consulting. We consult our clients from business analysis until program management, also combined with technical stuff, like if the outcome is that you need an application or you have to implement an application, so you have the developers that they came in.
So you're essentially doing right now in your second source, or in the second source or pillar, as you call it, consulting. Right? IT consulting.
Yeah, IT consulting. And the third one is individual software development. So let's think about, there are a lot of tools out there, right? but still companies come up with, because of their USPs, that the standard software is not covering what they would like to have. So they would like to have something individual. So if those individual software solutions are required, we can deliver them. So we identified after 1 year, we asked ourselves.
Because you started only with pillar 1, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. So we started with pillar 1, pillar 2 and 3, we added up. So we added up because we had a strategy meeting and we said, okay, we asked ourselves the question, what can we do the best for our client besides the tool? Because we know the tool is working good, but we cannot sell that to our client. So we said we can do very complex IT solutions within a very tough given timeline in best quality. We say to ourselves, that doesn't mean that we can. So we said, okay, if we say that exactly this is something that we can do, first of all, we have to prove that it is true. And then we can go to the clients and say, hey, these 3 points, that's really belongs to us. So we said, okay, let's find some projects if we even do not make money. So we found 2-3 projects with our clients. They said, hey, I really need immediately something. And that has been actually implemented almost 1.5 years, but that needs to go live within 2.5 months. And we need the minimum viable product within these 2.5 months. Can you do that? So we discussed, we said, hey.
That's a consulting thing. Or that's a tailored solution.
That's tailored solutions, right?
Okay.
So we said, okay, guys, you know what? Tough timeline, 2.5 months instead of 1.5 years. Very complex. It's with a lot of data in payment area. So you have to reconcile the accounts. Those things with very complex booking flows. And we have to bring this a very, very good quality, because that needs to go in 2.5 months production, whatever happens. We did. We delivered even, I think, 1.5 weeks earlier than planned. That was satisfactory for the company. And we delivered the minimum version, and this is running. So with this project, we actually approved that what we have told to ourselves.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, that was like very clear for us that we have to focus on this, because this is something that we can do good and add value to our client. And on this side, so consulting and individual solution combined, we are looking into getting projects in all the industries. Obviously, I'm more from the banking side, so that's why we are doing more in the banking. But this is the challenge, to get those things to the client. But if you ask me what is the startup challenge to establish and run in Austria, I would say the first one is the bureaucratic process that you have to go through. You need quite a lot of things to understand, to learn. That there is not such kind of a roadmap that you say, hey, first you have to do this, then that. This is the third step. This is the fourth step. This is not possible. So you need a lot of stakeholder, and you have to think about, okay, what to do, why. That's the first one. And the second one is also the taxation for startups. I mean, from the day one, you're like, either you do money or you don't do money, but you still have to pay.
Right. So even if you're negative profits, you have to pay.
Yeah, you have to pay several things. I mean, I quit my job. I started there, right? So obviously, first, I think 3 months, we did not make a lot of revenues. Even if you do, you have to make the invoice, and invoice has maybe 30 days payment due.
And you have a salary of cost.
Exactly, and then cost, all of these things. That's adding up. And you do not have the necessary support, I would say, from the state that you would maybe expect. And I had the impression that if you even go and seek for support, that there's a big startup support, I would say, agency by VKO. They are into startup. They are motivating you to do stuff.
I hear
right?
that they respond very quickly.
They are crazily nice and good. But there are other stakeholders where you have to go, and you get very quickly the impression that actually they are giving you the impression you should not do the business, rather go and work. And this is something in mindset, because you're coming with another motivation. You would like to do something that you think it might work first, and secondly, you would like to grow, you would like to bring more workplaces, you would like to get more people into.
Yeah.
But then how? And this question we are also asking now. We would like to grow. We would like to grow in Vienna. There is no any other question behind. But to be able to grow, the main issue is, let's think about, we would like to hire some new developers. I understand that Austria in Europe, you pay definitely more taxes than anywhere else. But what I don't understand is there is something called Lohnnebenkosten, right? That's the additional salary cost of a people that you have to pay as a company.
Social security
So
stuff.
what I completely don't understand, so that means you as an employee, you get the before tax salary, and then tax is deducted, insurance is deducted, you get your net salary every month. Additionally, for a company, there is another portion of money that you have to give. That's way around between 25 to 30% of the salary, of the before tax salary that you have to pay. And those things are actually stopping startups to grow.
Hiring.
Yeah, to hiring to grow. And in my opinion, that there should be some solution. There should be some, I don't know, subsidiaries or anything that you say, hey guys, you know what? Okay, if you hire the first 5 guys, or every year if you hire young people or even elderly people that they are struggling to get the work, then there's some kind of things that you can think of. So
Yeah,
that's really, really hard.
I saw something, I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago. I can't quote it exactly, and I don't remember who said it, but it's interesting in that they said, why is there such a huge incentive not to hire people in Europe, aka all of these taxes and social security, etc., when countries exactly want people to go to work? Why are you incentive? Because it's an incentive not to hire someone, right? You can tax the system in other ways, right? VAT. I don't know what there's taxes everywhere, right? But you could shift those taxes in a way that people do get jobs more easily, right? And they will then use that money and get taxed anyhow, through consumption.
Exactly. I mean, in the IT, we are striving to get good people, let's say well educated, knowledgeable, best fit profiles. I would rather say so. So this is the hard work, because you have very less people going to IT and coming out. And then within this group, then you have very less people who are really fitting to your profile. So the number of profiles that you might get on the market is very low. And there's a competition between the companies.
And they're expensive.
They are expensive. So this is the issue with the IT company. Now, if we look at the restaurant side, it's even worse.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy, because I mean, in theory, ITs are highly knowledgeable. They've gone through a massive filtering, and the other one is actually you could do it while you're still at school.
Yeah. Right? But where is the issue? That's the issue of one of our colleagues from the restaurant. He said he's not from Austria. He's a student. He's coming from South Asian country. And he was over there in South Asia. He was working for a job center. So he was actually the guy who was giving the jobs or recommending the jobs to the people. So he told me, because I told him, hey, we are really struggling to get people for our restaurant. And he said, no wonder. Who should work if they get more money sitting at home than coming to work? There is no incentive, if not zero incentive, to come to work.
Yeah.
And then I said, yeah, completely agree. And then I also had look into the entire process, what is actually going wrong. The thing is, if let's say one guy with 2 to 3 kids at home has worked over 1 year, now sitting on job center, right? getting this one, and then getting for the rent, because he's not working and getting less money. The rent is getting somehow subsidized by the government.
Okay.
So it is less rent. He's getting for the kids the money, obviously.
How much is that? That's like
I actually don't know.
300,
Monthly, yeah,
500 euros.
not 500. I think
300.
somewhere 300.
So 900 euros for
Yeah,
kids.
and then getting this one. And then what the most of the people also ask me is, what about if they are working part-time? I'm not talking about part-time in sense of 20 hours. It's 10 hours, getting gig. So you pay me 500 euros, and then 500 euros officially, right? So 500 euros officially coming in. So you still get the money from job center. You still get all the benefits, but he's working maybe 20 hours.
Really? Because it's not considered officially that
Exactly.
you're working?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you get 500 additionally there. Nothing is considered on this side. You actually work 20 hours, so 15 hours black.
Yeah.
You get the money in hand. In total, if you calculate, you get 30 to 40% more than if you like to go full time to work. I completely understand the people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's illegal, but I completely understand how it works, and I completely understand why they are proposing me to do these kind of things. I mean, we don't. If someone tell us, we say, please, that's over. The conversation is over. We don't do this. But this is the way how it is working. But shouldn't it be that you say, hey guys, look, come to work, make it the percentage that we are paying as taxes, this Lohnnebenkosten, yeah? What about 50% of this one goes to the account of the employee? So they are more interested, there's more incentive to come to work. That at the same time would also mean less jobless people. Less jobless people means at the same time, so unemployment rate is low. That means government, they don't have to pay a lot.
And they get
it's a circulation, right? It's a tax circulation. So if you pay here less, also that much tax is not required. And people have in their pocket really earned money. So in general, what I nowadays I was a very big fan of the social system of European countries. But nowadays, I really say I do not see that the social system is working or will work in the future anymore. I don't think so.
I think it's mathematically not possible.
It's from
because we have too many old people and not that many young people anymore.
If we only consider the demography of any countries in Europe, that's not gonna work. We all know.
And on top of that, you have the issues that you were talking
exactly.
about.
And then on top of that, if you consider all the other topics, I believe the social system would not work anymore. No. Maybe another 5 years, and then it's gone.
But right now, the government is, or the future government, they're discussing this, right? Whether to reduce the benefits, based on how long you've been unemployed, that they would reduce it,
That's, I think,
every month or every 3 months.
I think that's a good step. But really, to be able to bring the people in the stage to say, go and work, I think it's more than just this. This is one of the aspects, but I think the aspect needs to be, because you cannot just go to the employee side. You have to look on the entrepreneur side as well.
Yeah.
You have to make for them a lot of things a bit easier to let them grow. And I have the feeling that in this, let's say, socialist countries, the willingness to give more freedom to entrepreneurs is so less, also from a political perspective. Because if I now here in Austria, I mean, I hope with the new constellation it will not take place, but that they were even discussing about new taxes. It's crazy. I mean, we should discuss about less taxes now and not adding up more taxes. And those kind of things, I just completely don't understand. I also don't understand why a company, if they invest the money, the profit that they made, if they invest the same money again into the company, why they have to pay taxes? So if I take it out in my pocket, I completely understand, give the tax. Although if we compare with, I don't know, Dubai or any other countries, even they are not taking those taxes. But still, I understand because it's coming to my private equity.
Yeah.
And this is something I have to pay tax for. Understandable. But it is not understandable for me if I made 100K profit and I say, you know what, I'm not taking the money out because I don't need the money. I would like to grow and I would like to take this 100K into the company. I would like to hire someone that next year from this 100K, I can make 200K.
Yeah.
But to be able to invest this 100K, first I have to pay 27% tax. That doesn't make sense for me.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done in Europe, I think. I think we're getting into problems that have been like signs on the horizon for decades, you know. But now we're reaching points where things are going bad, and things are going to go bad a lot faster, a lot worse. Because the aging is getting a lot worse. The growth, the tempo of growth has decelerated massively in Europe. I mean, it makes sense. In the 60s, you had like a proper pyramid in Europe, and now it's over, you know. The boomers are all retiring. And you have tiny steps in the demographic pyramid below them that are supposed to keep growing. It's not going to happen. And then the whole structures that were built by this boomer generation just don't work in the new system, right? It did work then, under the assumption that population always keeps growing.
And that's the issue, because the issue is we are trying to fix the system, but we are not trying to change the system. If you would like to fix the system, obviously in the mathematical calculation, you are always ending up with, we need more money from the payer. Otherwise the system is not working, right? So more money from the payer, and payer is getting less and less. You need more money to keep. That means payer needs to pay more. You have to introduce new taxes, or you have to introduce something. But that's not something that will sustain.
No.
And with
it's borrowing from the youth of today. It's like a loan that you're taking from the youth and giving to the, like, oh, I have more retirees this year. But I don't have the money to pay them. Okay, I'll take debt, or I increase taxes on the youth. They pass on the money to the old people, and then the next year it's worse, and the next year it's worse, and I get less taxes because there's less people working, right? So I need to tax the people working even more.
So that's why you actually have to change the system, and at the same time, if you even look, right, so if you don't change the main point where everyone, in my opinion, is completely in the winter sleep, is that we are, as European, losing the competitiveness with all other countries in the world. Because there's a because why we are in the winter sleep. Still, it's a good, wealthy life currently for us.
Everyone's happy.
Everyone is happy. What's in 10 years? It's then too late.
But the flames, you can sort of see the flames, right? I mean, everyone's happy, but at the same time, all the unhappy parties are getting more and more votes. So there's definitely on the edges of society, the edges of society are becoming bigger, let's say, right? The people that are on the losing end of this societal deal that we have, that group of people is getting bigger. Far-right parties and far-left parties are getting a lot of power. A bit like in the 30s. We're entering like the 30s again. Is my feeling, right? You have populism on the rise. You have far-right, far-left parties on the rise.
That's true.
And now politically things are going really wild, you know. Even our closest allies are it's like, who are these people? What are they telling us? I don't know how it's gonna be the next decade. It's gonna be a wild ride.
But exactly at the same point, whoever is maybe not sleeping in this winter sleep, right?
It's gonna be so good.
So they are thinking of, and we are included to this group, that we are really thinking of, is it a really good idea to keep our business running in Austria? We are really discussing strategically if we really should continue our business in Austria.
Yeah.
So we are kind of thinking about, okay, is it the right market for us, first of all? Is it also the market where we should run the business? It doesn't mean that we cannot run somewhere else and cover Europe. We can run somewhere else and cover Europe as well. But those questions we are asking ourselves as well. Because when you travel to the countries that they are having massively business growth, in the South Asian countries, Bangladesh included. If we go to Dubai, if you go to Saudi, if you go to the African countries, where the growth is, not comparable anymore with Europe. And then the question, obviously, in your mind all the time as an entrepreneur is, are we at the right place right now?
Yeah.
I don't think so. So that's why we are also thinking about, okay, well, what can be done, right? So another solution, now coming to maybe also the cultural side and what is the difference between Bangladesh, Austria, and the UK. So we are also discussing in the professional manner a lot of, we don't have the experts, we don't have the people that we need, we have to hire from outside. I think there's a big gap in the societal education having experts in countries. I think that has been done in Netherlands maybe better than Germany, Austria, Switzerland in the meantime also. UK is completely different because it's, multiculturalism has been always there. But Middle Europe has been always kind of traditional, a bit on the back. So we are talking about the IT sector, right? So IT sector, we always talk about, okay, get the IT tech guys from the South Asian countries like India, obviously number one. Nowadays also Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, all those countries. Nowadays also a lot from Ukraine due to the war fact that you can hire them. But then there is something where I always say you cannot clap with one hand only. You cannot say, I would like to have these experts in my country, but I'm not in the position, or even I'm not willing to change my several habits or several mindsets to be able to welcome them. So just a small thing, let's say expat is coming there, they are going to the supermarket, asking to the guy, and we all know Viennese guys are a bit strange anyway.
Yeah.
And if they ask, hey, where can I find my drink, or I would like to have iced tea or something, they would say, was willst du? And those kind of things, small little things, but the experts will say, why should I go there? I have my expertise, I have my knowledge, I know what I'm capable of. Why should I go to Vienna? Why should I go to Austria? Why not, I don't know, why not UK? Why not Canada? Why not somewhere else?
Yeah.
Right? So you have to create this environment which is currently not there. But at the same time, we are making a lot of pressure to bring people from the outside. You cannot create a pressure from outside to get the experts, although you're not ready. So you have to make your country ready. So those kind of mindset in the professional side is not actually matching right now. I think it's same in Germany, it's same in Austria. But the main cultural differences or way of living Bangladesh and Austria, I would say, I mean, Vienna is the most livable country for the 13th time, I think. So in this case, obviously from infrastructure perspective, from a healthcare perspective, from educational perspective, very well done. Systematically, very well set up. Although, as I said, a lot of developments needs to be done. On the other hand, in Bangladesh, I believe it is very hard to get a good education, because if you're just good enough, if you have the, let's say, good IQ, or if you're a good student, it doesn't always mean that you will end up with having a good education. So this is a hard part of life that you have to accept there. Secondly, the political aspect. So stability is obviously a big issue.
They also just had the big protests and government change, right?
Exactly. So last 15 years, there was I would say not a democratic system anymore. So that was like completely changed in a almost monopole position of one prime minister.
It was a woman.
It was a woman, and created such a mess. Not only mess in sense of that nothing happened in the country. A lot of developments happened, and that needs to be said. For which cost? This is the main point. the cost is, let's say I'm building a bridge. Bridge costs normally to build 10 euros, just as an example. But if you build the same bridge for 1,000 euros from the taxpayers, obviously, the money is not coming from somewhere else, then is the question if the development is really sustainable and good enough. In my opinion, no. And at the same time, if you see the democratic values are getting less and less. So in this case, the development that have taken place in Bangladesh last 15 years is really a big mess that needs to be somehow recovered. And at the same time, how much money illegally was, brought out of the country. This is something we should be very much worried about. I mean, this is taxpayers' money, how to recover from this. And on the other side, also bring more security in everywhere. That's
is
I
it
think
unsafe?
Yeah, it is. I would not say it is unsafe, but the point is, as long as there are political parties, these 15 years where opposition could not say any word anywhere, and there might be a shift now. There's a intermediary government that there will be someone elections and someone will come. The question is how this will affect on the people. Whenever you talk to Bengali people in Bangladesh, well educated, everyone will say if they have a chance to leave the country, they will leave the country.
Yeah.
And this is crazy. This is something which is not good for the country at all.
No.
Because if you'd like to have a good functional country, if you'd like to develop your country, you need also the good people in the country. It does not work if you have all the good people all around the world, because others are also, looking for experts. So there are deals, they are picked up, but then what is the point where expert says, no, I will stay? That's the political stability, that the cultural side, that's the,
family ties,
family side, salaries, securities, educational perspective, and also the religious one. Also very important. Because when you have in a country more than 90% one religion, you cannot say that the country could be secularism. That doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It works only in multi-religious. If you say 20% there, 30% there, 60% there, okay, fine, because it's work, right? Because it works different religions together, and then you can say there is not something like a state religion. Because how can you? Because there is not a majority that you can say, hey, majority is this, that's why that's my state religion. Only secularism works in this way. But also that was a big project of the last 15 years to bring the state religion to side and bring a secularism country, which I believe exactly this 90% of the people would not agree with.
Yeah.
So this is the cultural side. This is, and also, as you said, what we are seeing right now in Europe, that whoever has less, getting less and less, whoever has a lot, they are getting more and more. That we have already seen, I think, around 20 to 30 years back in Bangladesh already.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last 15 years, even more. Whoever has, let's say, 1 million, they have now 100 million. Who had only 1,000, he had only one now. So the extreme of poverty and the growth of, wealthiness is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why I do not give...
Because on paper, Bangladesh got
the
a lot
GDP
richer.
is great, right?
Yeah.
That's why I do not give a lot on this KPI of GDP.
Yeah.
Let's give a calculation of GDP. You earn 1 million, I earn only 10,000. So our GDP is 1,010,000 divided into 2. Is it a fair GDP? Definitely not.
That's why the median is more interesting. Right?
Exactly.
The median.
Exactly. So those kind of things, whenever someone tells, GDP is so nice, bigger than Indian one, I say, yeah, great.
Is it bigger than the Indian one?
Yeah.
Per capita?
Yeah, per capita, they are already, they are over India.
Really?
But, at the same time, you go to the street and see people cannot even eat. The poverty is on I think, the lowest level that you have ever seen. Then the question is, what should I do with my GDP? That the interest of GDP is zero. If I have a big group and the percentage of population who is really in the worst possible way in the poverty.
Yeah.
So obviously those kind of things you see when you go there, then you have completely a different feeling of life.
The crazy thing is, I feel like this decade or the next 2-3 decades are going to be the decade of South Asia, and Pakistan is really messed up right now. But so I would say India and Bangladesh really could be like their China moment, you know.
I also believe so. I also believe so in sense of everyone understood. First of all, they do not have the demography problem.
No.
So this is the first and foremost important point. They understood that only doing the textile is not sustainable anymore. Why? Because the big players, they are talking about sustainability. They are talking about how to source the stuff, how to pay the people, how they are living. All those aspects are coming to an, I would say, in a flashlight, right? So they are more looking into what's going on. So they understood this is not only the source of income that we can have. So they are more looking into the technology side because that's crazily massively coming in.
And you can do it remotely from anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So you even don't have to go to Europe. You don't have to deal with the client somewhere. So exactly as textile worked, technology can work as well.
Yeah.
So they are more focusing on this one. However,
and the language, I think fourth, very important, is language. Chinese don't speak English in general, and everyone in India or Bangladesh, not everyone, but many people.
Yeah. So they are getting into.
So you can service the entire Western market.
Only the point that the country messed up in a huge way is the education. Last 15 years, they killed the education system. So whoever has money goes to university, they are pass. If you even don't do anything, you just come up, you pass. You just come up, you pass. And the new technology, new thing of learning is just not there. So that means you're producing a lot of people that should work in the market, but they just do not have the capacity or this knowledge, the way of working, they just don't know. So this is one of the issues that I really hope that they will change. One of the main change that needs to happen is in the educational system. The second system is everything about the banking, because they have to make sure that the, you know, whoever is in power, that they are taking the money out of the country. So they can earn the money, that's fine, but then reinvest in the country, build up the country. So I think if they can control over those two things very nicely, education and the banking sector, I think, as you said, Bangladesh has a momentum now.
It's the moment.
Yeah.
And the moment, like all these moments come and go. And if they don't do it now, I don't think it's going to happen. Because then it's going to be someone else's time. It's going to be Africa. You know?
So this is something. So we have also our IT company subsidiary in Bangladesh, in Dhaka Rani.
Very good.
We are also hiring developers over there. So that's the cultural side, right? So I grew up in Bangladesh, and it's a normal human being feeling that this is home, right? So then you come, you stay another 10 years in Vienna, you feel home as well. However, you know, this there's always this kind of looking into the foreigners in sense of, okay, you have some kind of prejudices, right? So you think, okay, foreigner, he definitely cannot speak German. He's definitely working somewhere as a cleaner, or those kind of things. So with the generation,
probably especially here,
is changing.
Compared to the UK.
Here more. So but with the generation, it is getting changed, because the new generation, they even don't care how someone looks like, which religion, which, you know, skin color, etc., etc. But they still the generation, the bigger demographic generation, still there. They are looking at you as you should even not be there.
An outsider.
And this sometimes gives the feeling, is Vienna my home? And then staying in the UK, I would not say that the UK is better. UK is better only in London or maybe in certain point where the community, they build their own community within the
It's
country.
also not great, I think.
It's not good. It's not good.
Ghetto.
It's not good at all. I mean, if you go to East London and if you go out, you see only Bengali, Pakistani, and Indian people. You even don't see one white guy, and I mean white with a white British guy. Is it the community that we would like to have in Europe? I don't believe so, because I am a big fan of, you know, mixing up, integrating everyone. Austrian, Bengali, Turkish, whoever is coming, but let's come together. Let's get the understanding of each other. There is an Austrian value, Austrian country, Austrian things that we have to follow, and we should follow, and we should integrate with. At the same time, we are bringing some values as well, that they are respecting our values and coming together and having a good, not even community, a society. This is not given in the UK.
These ghettos create us and them, right? If you have a ghetto of, let's say, South Asians and a ghetto of British English people, then you have a us and them situation, and you never create this bonding.
So in the UK, what I have seen is still even in London is big, right? So London, one part is white part, one part is South Asian part, one part is black part. So if you go to the white part, if you sit in a train or in a bus, I can guarantee you that the white people still do not sit next to you.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So it is not that great as we think of. But the great thing is they have created their ghettos and the communities in part of London or part of UK, where then you feel, hey, I'm at home. Very much obvious. There's no one from Britain. So obviously you feel different, right? So those are the point over there, which is also not great. But I think UK is maybe a bit more open, a bit more when it comes to business, easier, bureaucratic stuff or less. Still, from a living perspective, worse than Vienna. So healthcare system is already gone, in my opinion. That's worse than in Bangladesh, because if you have
worse than Bangladesh.
If you have money in Bangladesh,
then it's amazing.
Then even the healthcare system
is better than here.
Better than here. Better than Austria. Better than UK. But UK, if you compare in the European, not European Union, Europe, UK, I would say most probably the worst one. You can't believe what they do. I mean, I can give you examples. People go, really emergency operation is required. You are not even in a room, you're waiting outside. Or even you're pregnant, you got your baby, after 2 hours, they are saying you can go home. That worse is the health system in the UK.
Wow.
What we cannot imagine of.
I've heard it's an issue. It's
a big issue. So then obviously also the security perspective. I mean,
the stabbings are going wild.
Stabbing going. Young ladies are somehow not there after school. They are vanishing. So those kind of securities. And then obviously I ask myself, would you really like to go to a city or in a country to live with your family because only maybe you have your own community and feeling home, but at the same time you do not have security, you do not have the healthcare system, you do not have a lot of things that you should have. It's also not easy to get, you know, young good money over there as well. All those things, and the expenses are much higher than all other European countries. Is it really something that you'd like to do there? So that's why, although after my studies in the UK, I got some job offers, I came back to Vienna, and staying there. There are only few cities, I would say, in the world that I would say maybe we would leave Vienna for those cities. Very less. For me personally, there's Bangladesh included as a country.
You would go back?
I would go back.
Okay.
I would go back. Although I know security issues, I know the stability issues, I know educational issues, I know all these, but end of the day, I still, as I feel Vienna as home, I feel also Bangladesh as home.
So
that's why that's a mixed feeling. In the ideal world, for me, I would say 6 months here and 6 months there.
Yeah, you can
so
do it.
That would be the best one, right?
You have your subsidiary there, you have your company here, you can combine it.
Yeah. So this is something brings really the mixed feelings. But on the other hand side, I would say Bangladesh is really nice in nature, in for tourism, although they are not well known, and I think that makes it this extra kick for people maybe who say I don't want to go there where a lot of tourists are somehow going into. So Bangladesh is the place to go.
I don't know people that have been there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know a single
So that's
person.
why it's really, really nice. And on the other side, the people are very nice, and I have to admit they are very nice to foreigners than maybe to their own people, because when they say foreigners coming and they feel, hey, these are the guests that they are having the expression of the country, so we have to behave ourselves. So those kind of feelings are coming into, and there's always I don't know if it's psychological, biological, there is always a feeling for, or let's say, I think it's historical, coming from the British Empire, that they ruled the country for years, and they have always a weakness for white people.
It started around there, right? The British India started exactly. Like in this Calcutta, Bengal region.
Yeah, so West Bengal, they started. So this feeling is still there. I can give you one example. I mean, even if we do maybe one kind of a test, how it works, I think it would be great. Let's think about, we are bringing one Oxford professor who is either black or let's say South Asian, or Bengali, even Bengali, right? And then you bring just randomly anyone who is just white, So bring both of them to, let's say, either one lecture or any kind of organization or anything. Let both just say something. I can guarantee you the people will be more focused, more listening to the white people, the white guy, than to the Oxford professor who is Bengali.
I believe that, since I've also been to Asia quite a few times, and it's not just a South Asian thing, but it happens in multiple Asian countries. But what I have noticed, and since I was living there in the 90s and going back and forth, this phenomenon sort of disappears as a country opens up. And like China, it used to be when you went there, everyone would take a picture with you. Now, not really,
no one actually cares.
And in Thailand, it used to be similar long ago, but now nobody cares. But you still have it in some countries, like in the Philippines and some parts of Asia where there's not that many white people that have been. I think it will be the same in South Asia. Like the people, after a time, they've been exposed to enough white people that they realize, hey, you're just like anyone else.
Yeah, but we see the same also in the professional manner. So let's think about it. I mean, I'm the CEO of Streamline Technologies, right? When we work, sometimes we work with partner companies in Bangladesh, and I can tell you.
You put someone else in the camera.
Yes, I do, because I in the beginning I did not.
Yeah.
So I was like alone going. I said, hey, this is what we customer would like to have. Can you please develop? These are the deadlines we have agreed. And then you can see, when it comes to feedback round, if you provide them feedback, if you say, hey, this should be that and this should be that,
they don't accept it as much.
They do not take it seriously. And I got this feeling very quickly. And I said in the feedback round, I always send the other guys. They are white. When they get and say, guys, we would like to have this one right above and not left.
Really?
Next, it's right above. No discussion, nothing. So that's why I'm saying, also on the professional side, it is very important.
There's a lot of education that's needed.
Yes. So this is something I really hope that people will, with the next generation, that these kind of things will change.
Yeah.
Because it's the guy sitting in front of you with his knowledge, capability, and not how he looks like.
Yeah.
Which skin color he has, which religion he is following. all those things that we are actually saying to European people, the same thing we have to say on these countries as well.
Yeah. I guess this will be a problem that will solve itself if Bangladesh manages this decade or 2 decades of opening up, and business comes in and everyone flies into Bangladesh, just like they did with China, just like they did with Vietnam.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully that happens.
Hopefully. Yeah.
I would say we stop it here, and we'll then see each other again in your restaurant.
In your restaurant, yeah. In a restaurant in Muncho, yeah. See you there.
Thank you, Mahmud.
Great, no worries.